What's up, everybody? Armchair Quarterbacks here with another Week 11 preview. On this one, we have Dear Lord Baby Jesus versus Euron Mahomes Kid. That's Mikey versus Michelle. As of Wednesday night, Mike is currently projected to win with 96.14 over Michelle's 82.37. So let's take a look here at these starting rosters. Mike, he's currently starting Jalen Hurts, Christian Kirk, DJ Moore, Christian McCaffrey, David Montgomery, Cole Kmet, Dalton Schultz, and Devonta Smith. Interesting here, still going with a double stack on the tight ends. I think I would try to change that out here. But how do you feel about this Philadelphia Kansas City game? Let's take a look at that one.
That one's going to be the game of the week. I think it's going to be high scoring. You're going to have, depending on who, it doesn't matter. If Jalen Hurts comes out and scores a touchdown first, then you're going to have this back and forth that starts. KC is capable of doing that. You have Philly has one of the best defenses for rushing. So my Isaiah Pacheco, Jerick McKinnon, that's not going to look so good for Kansas City in their running. If you look there, KC is probably going to be limited in their run by the Philly defense, and then vice versa. Kansas City, they have a really stout defense. So we'll see how that plays out. There are two pretty decent defenses here, but two capable scoring offenses.
Yeah.
So we'll see if we get a high scoring like everyone predicts or
this
not.
One's currently slated for an over-under right now. I think it opened at 47.5. And now it's down to 45.5. Implied team totals, Kansas City right now with 24. I think it's going to be a higher scoring game than the over under for sure. I'll take the over. I mean, this is the Super Bowl rematch.
If Kansas City's defense wasn't as good as it is this year, and if they had Tyreek Hill, you're probably looking at this being a 52-point
easy
game total. So it's definitely going to be more of a defensive match here to see who who breaks first.
All right, so Christian Kirk going up against Tennessee. I mean, Trevor Lawrence hasn't really been playing too hot lately, but Tennessee should be another chance for a get-right game for the passing game there. DJ Moore, how do you feel about DJ Moore with Justin Fields coming back this week?
If you tell me that Justin Fields is 100% healthy, then DJ Moore comes back to the number, a wide receiver one that he was when he started the season.
Right.
If Justin Fields does not look like himself or he's struggling out there, look for it to be more of what we've seen from DJ Moore in the past several weeks without Justin Fields. He at this point he becomes a low wide receiver 2, maybe a wide receiver 3 with some upside, but not as good if Justin Fields isn't healthy.
Definitely hoping for Justin Fields to be 100% healthy, if not 100%, maybe even 90%. Anything higher, the more healthy he is, the better DJ Moore is going to fare. DJ Moore's got a pretty interesting schedule. Detroit this week, Minnesota bye week on week 13, and then playing Detroit again. So going into the fantasy playoffs, he's got a good lead up to try and bolster his stats here. But then going into the fantasy playoffs, it gets a little bit tougher. Christian McCaffrey, that's an auto start no matter who the matchup is. Tampa Bay is pretty tough up against the run game, but I mean, it's Christian McCaffrey. He'll get involved either in the run or the passing game or both. David Montgomery here. How do you feel about this start with Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery? I mean, the last week it seemed like there was split pretty evenly, albeit or not evenly, but at least it was a pretty decent split. However, it was weird. I remember us talking about it, how David Montgomery was getting more work in the midfield, and Jahmyr Gibbs was getting more work in the end zone. We thought it was going to be vice versa. You think they're going to go back to the how the game script was in the beginning of the season, where Montgomery's going to get more of the end zone work? or do you think it's going to stay the same here?
I have no idea, man. I mean, they used Jameer Gibbs in the red zone. That was split. So we'll see if David Montgomery, I'm sure he's gonna get some looks in the red zone,
Yeah.
just what Dan Campbell likes. To use that bruiser back. But if you look at his long here was just a 75 for his longest rush here in the last game. That's pretty much, I mean, if he doesn't have that 75-yard dash, he's what, 40 yards,
Mhm.
maybe a touchdown. So he only had 12 attempts from the game. We'll see if it was just because that was his first game back.
Or if that's just the split
Um,
that's going to be.
yeah, and then good thing it's at home against Chicago, but this offense is so good that they have so many massive feed between Sam Laporta and Ross St. Brown. You have Monty here, and then you have Jameer
Gibbs.
Gibbs. So
Yeah, I agree. It's
um,
it's definitely very very interesting. It's concerning, seeing that um one of those rushing attempts and pretty much all of his yardage was on one attempt. So I think
mhm.
as long as the usage continues like this and he can be efficient just like this, he's still going to be startable. Um, but if the efficiency goes down and we see the same amount of usage, I don't know. I think you might have to look at benching him. So here's another Devonta Smith in this Kansas City game. I think this is a good start. Dallas Goedert out still with the broken arm. Jalen Hurts is going to have to air it out. It can't all go to AJ Brown. So I think Devonta Smith should get it going here.
It can't
Um,
go to all the AJ Brown. I forget who I was listening to today, and he has the most usage. That's why I was mad when you got AJ Brown. Um, he gets the most usage. I think forget if it was the footballers that were saying it, or if I was listening to ETR, but we've kind of seen already what Devonte Smith gets in terms of usage and looks. So he might have a couple games this season, but I don't think it's going to be AJ Brown for sure on this one.
I mean, if there's any game for Devonta Smith to get more involved in, it's the next two games: Kansas City, Buffalo. I mean, even the next one, San Francisco. They've got some pretty
Uh,
decent games coming up where he can get involved.
I would say more of like a Miami. I
Yeah,
mean, if you go Buffalo, their defense isn't that good. That's an AJ Brown game for sure. So it just depends on the matchup here. But for Kansas City, with how good they are, they're going to lock on to AJ Brown, but that dude's pretty big compared to Devonte Smith. Devonte Smith is more slender. We know AJ Brown has yak, so
all
we
right,
shall see.
so let's talk about Mike's double tight end stack here. Cole Kmet, Dalton Schultz.
Not good.
Of these two, who do you like?
I would probably have to go, and that's a tough one because they've both been playing decent. So
Hmm?
he is kind of right in his thinking of how they've been playing. Um, but with the deadline coming up, if I'm Mike, I would try and package one of these guys, have them in plus, maybe a David Montgomery or one of these other guys, a Devonte Smith. See if you could kind of upgrade here. Um, but if I'm picking right now, I'm probably going with Dalton Schultz, just the way CJ Stroud has been playing. You give me this game with Arizona too and Kyler Murray in a dome. They're both in a dome, but it'll be interesting here.
Yeah, no, I agree for sure. I think the only difference between Cole Kmet, Dalton Schultz, his target share, it seems to be going up and down. It's been a little bit closer in the past couple of weeks, but it's still up and down. Whereas Cole Kmet, he seems to have a more consistent ish target share. I mean, it's still up and down because he's in the tight end position. Um, But the other thing for me that's a big factor is, if I remember correctly, Houston has had their bye week already in week 7, so Dalton Schultz has all games the rest of the year. Cole Kmet has not had a bye week yet. He's got a bye week in week 13. So I mean, if there's anybody that you're going to trade, I would probably look to trade Cole Kmet just so that way you can keep the projected points with the week 13 bye for Cole Kmet. Yeah, I agree. Definitely try to package one of those guys in a trade. This week, I mean, pretty sparse. I saw that you picked up Antonio Gibson, Mike, after Johnson dropped him. Not the best pickup. I don't think Gibson's going to get any usage. I think your best bet is maybe subbing in Jaden Reed for either Cole Kmet or Dalton Schultz. Jaden Reed gets some pretty decent looks every here and there from Jordan Love, and he's been pretty efficient for the most part this year. So let's take a look over here at Michelle's team. Her bench is looking pretty sparse. Pretty much everybody on bye week. If Justin Jefferson plays this week, I would obviously start him. He was limited this week, today, practice. So it's possible he could be coming back this week. I believe he was slated, designated for return last week. Is that right?
I'm not sure. They just said he's getting closer, but
Yeah.
they're not going to rush it.
But yeah, it's rough going here. Especially since she's got all of her benches on bye week except for Purdy and Justin Jefferson. Jefferson on the IR. Purdy obviously being the quarterback. That being said, she has Drake London, who's on a bye week in her flex. So I think here you're gonna have to drop somebody, maybe Demario Douglas, Ezekiel Elliott, and pick somebody up. You could even drop Michael Thomas. He hasn't really been startable lately. So you can drop any of those players, and probably you'll have to scour the waiver wire, or again, try to see if you can package somebody in a trade here. Have Patrick Mahomes. You've got Brock Purdy. You can definitely get a trade done with either of those players. Najee Harris has been coming on lately. So if he keeps the efficiency and the usage going the rest of the season as what he's had in the past 2 weeks, I think he's got some value that where you can trade him. How do you feel though about that?
Yeah, I mean, we've pretty much been saying it, and she hasn't wanted to package any of these guys. So now she does get Jefferson back, but in last place, pretty much out of it. So at this point, you still want to play for the integrity of the game. You're looking at being spoiler, picking up. You still want to be active, It'd be funny if we ended up doing punishments next season, but yeah, at this point, you just still stick with it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, as the commissioner, I would very highly encourage continuing to play throughout the season, even if you feel like you're 100% out of it. Like Shawn said, pretty much all for the integrity of the game. You don't want to give anybody an easy win. You want to at least make them kind of earn their win here by making sure you're not starting any bye week players. You're starting somebody that's playing at least. I agree there. However, your T. Higgins, he's currently out, and she's got Tyler Boyd starting here. Again, I think another game where he could be pretty involved. Last week up against Houston, that was a pretty high scoring game, and this one could be a rough one just because Baltimore's got the vaunted defense. But if Tyler Boyd is involved just as much as last week with those 12 targets, I think it's possible he could have a chance for a touchdown here. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, he's going to be the number 2 option there. Maybe number 3, I guess, if you say Joe Mixon, but as long as Joe Burrow is healthy, then that is feasible.
Yeah, I mean, the only reason why I'm bringing this up, this is a divisional game, so both of these teams are going to be playing. They're obviously going to be playing for the win, as every team usually does. But in this division, both of these teams are looking like they're playoff teams, so they're vying for higher seeding. So I think these guys are gonna I think they're going to bring their A games here for sure. We were talking about Devonta Smith and Jalen Hurts in the Philly Kansas City game. Michelle has a piece of that game here with DeAndre Swift. I think DeAndre Swift is a pretty decent play here. It gives the Philly Eagles another option here on their offense. However, he hasn't looked as efficient in the past few weeks as he has when he started the season. He's still getting the usage. It's just the efficiency on the run game hasn't been there. Anybody else here you want to talk about on either of their teams?
No, that's pretty much it. I mean, you look at Dante Foreman here, going up against Detroit. Detroit's defense is really good
The rush.
with the rush with Alex Hutchinson. Um, Also, you have Khalil Herbert that's probably going to be activated from IR. I think he's already practicing. And then you have Roshan Johnson. So,
I mean, I
you're
feel like
looking.
Roshan Johnson is kind of at this point between the three of them, he'll play third string fiddle. But yeah, Khalil Herbert, he's designated for return. He got in a limited practice today.
Well, I
Um,
mean, we'll see. I mean, he's just coming back from,
yeah, it's
they could put him
interesting.
on a snap count.
Yeah, it's a toss up right now, especially with Justin Fields coming back. He might even use his legs a little bit more before he feels more comfortable throwing. All right, so that'll be it for this week 11 preview. Good luck to you both, and we'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.